Start with contracting sprites. Chapter 186, The Evolution of the Flaming Cloud Crow. Su Hao looked over. Information on Lu Ren's and the other two sprites appeared on the interface. With the advice he provided and the resources of Whale Island University, all three sprites were very strong. The most troublesome one was undoubtedly the Master Hound. The Lava Dragon Turtle and the Tide-Calling Spring Sprite weren't weak either. It could bring enough pressure to the Flaming Cloud Crow. It just so happens that it wants to evolve and needs a good battle excitement. The battle began. The Flaming Cloud Crow didn't dare to be careless. It was the first to activate the full-power Flaming Feather mode. Li Songting also entered. No, Li Songting's Master Hound also entered muscle form. It was more than 2 meters tall and had explosive muscles. Then, it retreated and hid behind the back of the Lava Dragon Turtle. Tide-Calling Spring Sprite was the same. Su Hao was rendered speechless. The 2-story-tall Lava Dragon Turtle was a veritable giant. Its attacks posed little threat to the Flaming Cloud Crow, but its size and defense. The Flaming Cloud Crow looked at them and expressed its sadness. At this moment, the Lava Dragon Turtle covered itself with a huge flame shield. A translucent red shield enveloped its body, adding another layer to its already terrifying meatiness. The Flaming Cloud Crow became even sadder. Its whole body was emitting red light, brewing. Finally, it flapped its wings and sent out rolling flames. Strong winds swept across and raging flames enveloped the whole venue. Unique skill, Flaming Storm. The only advanced fire element unique skill mastered by Flaming Cloud Crow. Bathed in the flames, its flaming feather form was just complete. With a flap of its wings, its whole body turned into a red flashing line. After a few minutes, Flaming Blade Slash. The Flaming Cloud Crow's wings cut through the thick water pillar that was charging towards it. White smoke constantly emerged from the collision of the high temperature and water stream. Mist filled the surroundings. There were raging flames even further out. Water and fire intertwined. However, the water pillar couldn't extinguish the burning flaming feather form. The Flaming Cloud Crow took the opportunity to tear open the water pillar and slash at Tide-Calling Spring Sprite. KO. Another few minutes. Flaming Cloud Crow split into 3 feather clones and used suicide attacks to perish together with the Muscle Master Hound. In the end, squawk! Flaming Cloud Crow called out weakly. It slashed down with its saber. The Lava Dragon Turtle had long withdrawn its shell. The flaming saber slashed at the huge tortoise shell, producing metallic clanging sounds and sparks flying everywhere. After wandering for a few minutes, it finally found an opportunity to fly through the opening at the head of the turtle shell. A moment later, it flew out again. The Lava Dragon Turtle's head stuck out, its eyes bulging. Squawk! It announced its victory. The red halo of the flaming feather form flickered. Finally, it was extinguished with a bang. Old Su, this is the closest we've come to victory, right? Ha ha ha. Lu Ren didn't feel defeated at all. He said, this shows that the three of us have improved a lot, right? Su Hao didn't deny it. Lu Ren added, maybe we can really defeat your Flaming Cloud Crow after a little more practice. Su Hao thought for a moment. Why don't we fight again in 3 days? 3 days? Sure. But why 3 days? Because I plan to arrange for the Flaming Cloud Crow to evolve tomorrow. Lu Ren. Can I withdraw my previous words? Time, the end of December. Weather, bright sunny day. Mission, the evolution of Flaming Cloud Crow. Note, there are still 16 days until the final exam. Early in the morning. Gurgle. Howl howl. Neigh. Electric Bear and Water Unicorn Beast greeted Big Sister. After a while, the Flaming Cloud Crow finally repeated, squawk. Squawk. Su Hao washed up, ate breakfast, changed his clothes, brought his cell phone, and the 4 sprites set off towards the evolution area. Lava area. Thick smoke billowed. Under the high temperature, even the air showed faint signs of distortion. As far as the eye could see, there were lava pools everywhere. Hot lava kept flowing, and didn't cool down for decades. It maintained the liquid state of lava eternally. This was the lava area. Most people preferred to refer to it as the lava hell. Su Hao could only stand at the periphery. Before long, sweat soaked his clothes. Old Su, quickly arrange for your fire crow to evolve. Otherwise, my fat will evaporate. Lu Ren was covered in sweat. Li Songting rolled up his sleeves and was actually running with small steps. Even if his whole body felt like it was scooped out of the water, he didn't care. They were all onlookers. Originally, Gu Linjiao had also come. But halfway through, she went back again. It was too hot. It was also bad for the skin. Su Hao found it a bit of a pity. Soon, wait for the same materials to be delivered. Su Hao let the water unicorn beast take a few breaths of cold air to lower its temperature. Then, he removed a box from its body. He took out the materials needed for the flaming cloud crow's evolution. 30 portions of fire element essence. Spirit jade, 20 pounds. 10 feathers of fire removed from the high-rank sprites. Lava crystal jade, 10 pounds. All the materials accumulated could fill a suitcase. Lu Ren was secretly speechless. All these materials add up to at least 300 to 500 credits, right? Rich Thaisu. Lu Ren, who used to be a rich man, shed tears of poverty. Su Hao said, when your union authority is increased a little, you can buy advanced resources with ordinary currency. Not to worry. Lu Ren's mind jolted. What level of authority do you need? Is level 4 enough? I should be able to reach level 4 next semester. Around level 7, maybe even level 8, Su Hao replied with uncertainty. Lu Ren. He shouldn't have asked. Further ahead in the lava area, the scorching heat on the ground was enough to burn through the soles of their shoes. Unless he activated the protective screen, he couldn't approach it. Su Hao took out a drawing and waved it in front of the flaming cloud crow. Squawk! The flaming cloud crow wasn't mature enough. It couldn't understand and couldn't set up the venue itself. Su Hao then looked at Butterfly. Gurgle. It expressed that he had nothing to worry about. As the big sister, it decided to help its little brother. Butterfly's psychic power picked up the materials and flew towards the core of the lava area. Flaming Cloud Crow flapped its wings and followed. All the materials were arranged in order according to distance under the control of Butterfly's mind power. It was like setting up an altar. Fortunately, it's in school. Without the interference of wild sprites, it can be set up so well. In the new world, he could only give a basket to hang on Flaming Cloud Crow. After a while, the two sprites flew back. The only materials Su Hao had left were those fire element essences. At this moment, behind a sealed coach, a vehicle that looked a little similar to a delivery vehicle drove over and stopped in front of them. The car door opened, and the driver got out and asked, "May I know who is Mr. Su Hao?" "I am." Su Hao took a step forward. "Your things are here," said the driver. The door of the back compartment opened, and a superpower gibbon walked down with a huge box in both hands. The driver pointed at the box. "Please use your student card to confirm the collection." Su Hao took out the student card from his pocket and made a beep. Just then, the box opened with a click, revealing a seat base. And an orange ball of light fixed on the seat base. It was like a ball of fire, emitting a large amount of light and heat, making people retreat uncontrollably. "Please use it as soon as possible, otherwise it may cause energy loss," the staff reminded. Su Hao called for the Flaming Cloud Crow. "Eat the heart of the sun first, then the elemental essences, and then fly to the middle of the evolution field, understand?" The steps were simple. The Flaming Cloud Crow understood. It stared straight at the heart of the sun and pounced on it with a squawk. Chapter 187, Bathing in Lava, Sun Form. The heart of the sun looked as big as a basketball, but it was due to the ball of fire that appeared on the outside. In fact, it was only the size of a fingernail. The flaming cloud crow leaped forward and swallowed it with a peck. Just then, flames started burning on its body, making it resemble a ball of moving flames. It then leaped back and swallowed 30 elemental essences very quickly. Squawk! It burped and felt a little stuffed. But it didn't dare to delay. It quickly flew towards the core of the lava area, the evolution field that had long been set up. It landed in the center of the field. Red light blossomed. Flames raged. A huge cocoon of light enveloped it. Su Hao kept staring. Absorbing the heart of the sun to evolve can allow the flaming feather form to improve further. Furthermore, it can also change its characteristics. The characteristics of sprites were like symbols engraved on their bodies. Logically speaking, they couldn't be changed. Just like how a man can't turn into a woman. Cough, cough, seems like it can be done too? But when sprites evolved, the internal genetic changes and external appearance also changed drastically. According to biological theory, they weren't even considered a species anymore. Its entire body had changed, and its characteristics naturally had a chance to change. It was just very difficult. Even a sprite cultivator wouldn't dare to say that they could 100% change the characteristics of a sprite. The burning characteristic. If it can be changed to ultra-high temperature, it will also increase the flaming cloud crow's strength significantly. Burning could cause fire element sprites to attack with a burning effect, causing sustained damage. Ultra-high temperatures allowed sprites to possess extremely high temperatures. There was no difference between the two characteristics, but burning wasn't very compatible with the flaming cloud crow's instant kill. Only the ultra-high temperature characteristic could satisfy the advancement of the flaming feather form. For example, Lu Ren's Lava Dragon Turtle's battle system was a vulgar counterattack style, so the burning characteristic was very suitable. They would slowly grind their opponents to death. At this moment, a huge red cocoon of light stood there quietly, like a huge egg. Butterfly flew closer and took out its cell phone to take pictures. The water unicorn beast ran back and forth, smoke gradually rising from its feet. Electric bear. Howl, howl, howl. It touched its head and asked. No, I refuse. There's no room for discussion, Su Hao said. Take a look. It'll be helpful for your future evolution. Electric bear. Firstly, it was a bear, not a crow. Secondly, it was a thunder element bear, not a fire element one. But it looked at Su Hao, then at Boss Butterfly and the water unicorn beast, and could only shut its mouth silently. It looked sad like a bear cub weighing 580 pounds. 3 sprites, 3 people, were watching the evolution of the flaming cloud crow. Lu Ren's sprite didn't come. After all, there were also tickets to the lava area. People didn't need to pay, but sprites were charged per head. The rich Thaisua actually bought tickets for sprite sightseeing. Did you hear that? You spent the ticket money. Focus. Su Hao turned and said to the electric bear. Lightning bear, OTT, corpse. The evolution of the first to second type required more energy to accumulate. It took even longer. It took about an hour. Su Hao waited. He couldn't help but take out his cell phone. Electric bear, hey. Forget it, I'll play you a cartoon. He looked for Li Songting, who was still exercising, and borrowed a cell phone. Playing cartoons for the electric bear. A story that had to be told between the 3 bears and the bald expert. The electric bear, which was also a bear species, was very immersed into the story. It watched with relish. Time passed. Lu Ren looked at the time on his cell phone and asked, has it cooked? I mean, has it almost succeeded? Su Hao stood up and took a few looks. That red cocoon of light was round and big, just like that fat and chubby bear. But he couldn't estimate either. After thinking about it, Su Hao stared at the interface silently. Stare. Sprite, Flaming Cloud Crow, evolving. Status, evolution progress 96%, estimated remaining time, 130 seconds. About 130 seconds, Su Hao said. What did you say? Lu Ren felt that he had heard wrongly. Evolution can even be precise to seconds? After all, I'm already a high-level sprite cultivator. Even high-level sprite cultivators can't. Wait. Lu Ren's eyes widened. Li Songting, whose mind was filled with muscles, suddenly stopped in his small steps. They all discovered blind spots. When did you become a high-level sprite cultivator? Isn't that the same level as the instructors? Su Hao straightened his clothes and pretended to say in a nonchalant tone, a while ago, didn't I go to participate in the Sprite Cultivator Cup? Then. Question, is there any necessary connection between participating in the Sprite Cultivator Cup and getting certified to the advanced level? Answer, no. Lu Ren held it in for a while before finally saying, you're a fake Sprite trainer. Su Hao was rendered speechless. He clearly wanted to become a real Sprite trainer expert. But he didn't know why. Sprite cultivator levels were always ahead of Sprite trainers. Actually, I didn't deliberately qualify for it. But the official Sprite Cultivator Association insisted on giving him the title of Advanced Sprite Cultivator. He didn't have a choice either. Lu Ren expressed that he didn't want to speak and stared at the huge light cocoon. Before long. Crack. 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 Cracks appeared on the light cocoon. The next moment. Squawk. With a sharp cry, the firebird broke through the light cocoon and spread its wings to fly. It was several times larger than when it was still the flaming cloud crow. Its wings opened, about 2 to 3 meters long. On its body, the original black feathers became dark red. On its neck, tail feathers, and the tips of its 2 wings, the feathers turned bright red. Flames surrounded its body. When it spread its wings and flew, it dragged a long tail flame. Like a flaming ribbon. It was dignified. Noble. It was the flaming spirit crow. The evolved flaming spirit crow was like a grass chicken that had turned into a phoenix. Even its style was different. It seems a little strong, Lu Ren muttered. Su Hao looked over. Thick red light still spread around the flaming spirit crow. It had yet to completely digest the many materials it had absorbed. Especially that heart of the Sunday. With a stare, he opened the interface of the flaming spirit crow. The characteristic column had already become ultra-high temperature. Very good. He looked at the figure in the air and ordered, go into the lava. Squawk. The flaming spirit crow flew to a high altitude, leaving only a black shadow in the outline of the sun. In an instant, it dived straight down again and rushed into one of the huge lava pools like a meteor falling to the ground. It plunged in. Boiling hot lava surged and swallowed its figure. In the blink of an eye, there was no more movement on the lava pool. It was as if the whole crow had melted. Can it withstand it? Lu Ren asked. Fire element sprites similarly had limits. It was not immune to high temperatures, nor flames. The flaming feather form also had a threshold to bear. And the temperature of the lava. Su Hao looked over, his expression calm. On the interface, the flaming spirit crow was using the power of the lava to complete its final transformation. The surface of the lava pool was calm for dozens of seconds. Suddenly, it rolled violently. A sharp cry came from the bottom of the lava pool. The next moment, boom! The whole lava pool exploded, like a huge pillar of fire soaring into the sky. Orange and sticky substances flew everywhere. It landed on the surrounding ground, producing sizzling white smoke. On the flame pillar, a huge fireball rose into the sky. It was like a small sun, emitting endless light and heat. Amidst the blazing sun, one could vaguely see a black shadow spreading its wings. Rings of dazzling halos spread out. It rose higher and higher, rushing into the clouds. Looking across, it seemed like there were two suns in the sky at the same time. An existence that stood shoulder to shoulder. It was so dazzling that one couldn't open their eyes. Flaming Spirit Crow. Sun Form. Chapter 188, Advancement After the Limit. What? What's that? Lu Ren looked up, his neck a little sore. Finally, he couldn't help but ask, is it really a flaming spirit crow? A minute ago, the flaming spirit crow was only a firebird that was a few rounds bigger. Although it looked much stronger, he expected it. A sprite personally cultivated by Thysa would definitely be sufficiently impressive. He estimated that the sprite could defeat the three of theirs even more easily. He wasn't depressed either. Wasn't it just a defeat? He, Lu Ren, lost to Su Hao, lost to that fire crow. It had already been dozens of times, if not 100. After being abused a lot, he got used to it. He really wanted to have a battle with the flaming spirit crow in 2 days to see how strong Su Hao's first final evolved sprite was. That was what he had thought 10 seconds ago. Now, what was with that sun? So piercing. In another part of the lava area, Mentor Sun Joang was testing his sprite. Not far away from him, the fire god soldier made of flames had half its body submerged in the lava. It raised its arm, and the lava in the pool rose. It was like a gradually rising wave. After the rolling lava rose, it was gathered by the fire god soldier. Like a huge ball, it constantly compressed, compressed, and lengthened in the hands of the fire god soldier. It looked like it was grinding noodles, or rather, forging. 10 minutes later, the lava ball turned into a red spear, held by the fire god soldier with both hands. Using spiritual force to solidify the weapon, the first step is considered a success. Instructor Sun pondered. But the strengthening failed in the past. Now, let's change the method. I wonder if we can strengthen this spear to a level harder than the fist of the fire god soldier. The spear in the fire god soldier's hand emitted a dazzling red light. It stabbed forward forcefully, the spear piercing through the air and separating the lava. After a while, the sticky lava that looked like it was splitting open the sea surface slowly closed. Bang! Lava surged. Instructor Sun Joang nodded. Right at this moment, the fire god soldier suddenly looked up in a certain direction. Instructor Sun also looked over. That's... He saw a blazing sun slowly rise, emitting endless light and heat. There was also the cry of a bird. What kind of sprite is that? The flames it emits are actually like a small sun. As a fire element instructor, a powerhouse only a hair away from Heavenly King level, he couldn't tell what kind of sprite it was, what kind of unique skill and secret manual it used. Who was it? He knew all the fire element instructors. Was that a top student? Do you see what kind of sprite that is? He turned to ask the fire god soldier. The next moment, his expression became a little stunned. Even you can't see through that incandescent sun. Somewhere in the lava area, a student was instructing his fiery blaze bowl to climb over the hot lava pool. Suddenly, seeing a blazing sun slowly rise, he was stunned. Instructor, or... He recognized all the fire element instructors. It seemed that no sprite could transform into a huge ball of fire. But the students. He recalled those experts in the special training camp, those experts with fire element sprites also seemed to not match up. It might be a killer move that someone just developed. I just fear that the ranking of the special training camp is probably going to change. With this in mind, he didn't dare to delay any further and continued training with the fiery blaze bowl. Squawk! The cry was sharp. That dazzling little blazing sun flew down from the sky. It resisted the urge to smash a hole in the ground and slowly decelerated. The flames around it converged, and the figure in the flames gradually became clearer. Whoosh! All the flames were absorbed and submerged into the flaming Spiricrow's mouth and wings. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared, leaving only a handsome flaming crow that folded its wings and landed in front of him. Squawk! Looking at Su Hao, who was already shorter than itself, the flaming spirit crow shook its feathers, sending some sparks flying. It wasn't used to it at the moment. Why is Su Hao so short? Su Hao reached out and flicked the flaming Spiricrow's feathers. It made a clanging sound. It was very hard. It shouldn't be too bad compared to metal. Su Hao was glad that he already had a mount and didn't need to ride the dazed crow. The riding experience was definitely extremely poor. He looked forward, and the interface appeared in front of him. Sprite, Flaming Spirit Crow, Elite Level. Characteristics, Super High Temperature. Cultivation Plan, Omitted, Fully Unlocked. Unique Skill, Omitted. Special. 1. Instantaneous Hell Killing Array. 2. Flaming Feather Form. 3. Sun Form. Su Hao tapped it with his mind. The advanced mode of full-power flaming feather form required the absorption of enough flames to form with its own ultra-high temperature characteristics, and the stabilization of flames with special profound meanings. And special training in daily life. Without any link, the sun form couldn't take shape. It was a secret manual specially tailored for the flaming spirit crow. For example, other sprites could learn the spiritual orb, just that it was very difficult. But whether it was the flaming feather form or the higher level sun form, even if Su Hao uploaded it to the Union's shopping center, it couldn't be sold. Unless he found a little fire crow and cultivated it bit by bit using the Su-style cultivation method. At this moment, Su Hao saw that in one column, information that he hadn't seen before appeared. Evolutionary Pathway. Little Fire Crow, Flaming Cloud Crow, Flaming Spirit Crow, Pitch Black, not unlocked. 3. Intelligence points to search for advancement direction. Su Hao touched his chin. The third stage evolution of sprites was the form engraved into their genes. As long as the cultivation was done well, it was only a matter of time before the sprite evolved to its final form. It was a visible path. But the final evolved form reached the end of the road. Further ahead was pitch black. It required sprites to break through their limits. The final evolved sprite can continue to evolve, but that's no longer as a type of sprite, but as an individual. The same type of sprite can also have completely different advanced forms. And the evolution of sprites not only increased their battle power, but also raised the ceiling of a sprite. Sprites in their initial form would at most grow to the limit of entry level. Sprites in the first stage of evolution had to look at the specific species potential. Usually, once they reached elite level, their progress would begin to be restricted. So Su Hao arranged for the flaming cloud crow to evolve. After evolution, it had the possibility of breaking through to extraordinary level. In comparison, the potential of the water unicorn beast pathway was higher. Even if it was at a stage of evolution, there was a slight possibility of breaking through to extraordinary level. The Union of Sprite Trainers defines the evolution after the final form as advanced evolution. There are no fixed forms or fixed pathways. But there are several general directions that can be used for reference. For example, giganticization. That sprite cultivator who had developed giganticization made a huge contribution. In the past, it was very difficult for sprites to evolve, and there were no traces to be found. Most monarch ranks came from quasi-god sprites with very high upper limits. Fiery Bird perhaps had a slight chance of breaking through to monarch rank. It was almost impossible for ordinary sprites. Advancing and evolving was also very difficult, so the probability of failure was very high. Until the giganticization theory appeared. Heavenly King Zhou's Sea-Tide Frog King should have advanced via giganticization. Su Hao remembered the Frog King that was 2 to 3 floors tall. Usually, the Frog King was only the size of a car, the difference was obvious. Not only that, the most valuable part of the giganticization advancement is its applicability, suitable for many types of sprites. Lava Dragon Turtle, Giant Armored Crab, Cinder Dragon, Squid King, and so on can all use the giganticization theory to make the possibility of advanced evolution not so low anymore. The Flaming Spirit Crow might be able to utilize it too. Su Hao stared at the line of text. He endured, and finally couldn't hold back his overflowing curiosity. He chose to unlock it. In that instant, data flowed like a waterfall. On the advanced form column of pitch black, countless pitch black outlines finally appeared. Su Hao was rendered speechless. Chapter 189, Another Year's Final Examination. On the interface. Advancement Direction. 1. Sun Evolution, Compatibility, 98%, unlock with 12 intelligence points. 2. Eternal Flame Evolution, Compatibility, 96%, unlock with 12 intelligence points. 3. Flaming Body Evolution, Compatibility, 91%, unlock with 12 intelligence points. 6. Armor Evolution, 63% compatibility, unlock with 12 intelligence points. 7. Enormous Evolution, compatibility 60%, unlock with 12 intelligence points. 9. Fallen Evolution, 50% compatibility, unlock with 12 intelligence points. There were a total of 9 options for advancement. Before each advancement direction, there was a dark silhouette. It could generally be seen that it was a flaming spirit crow, but the details were somewhat different. A compatibility score greater than 50% may be the most basic requirement for an advancement. Su Hao thought about it. The higher the compatibility, the easier it is to evolve. It may also become stronger after evolution. The first 3 could be considered. Both were above 90%. The highest compatibility of the sun's evolution should be related to the flaming Spiricrow's sun form. But Su Hao didn't unlock any more. After evolving into a flaming spirit crow, he still had to spend intelligence points to upgrade its cultivation plan. He shouldn't spend too much for the time being. In any case, the flaming spirit crow is still far from reaching the ceiling. There's no hurry to consider those things. Su Hao stood on tiptoe, touched the flaming Spiricrow's head, and said, "You've just evolved, and it's the high-speed period where your battle power is increasing. You mustn't relax during this period of time. After the end of the semester, you'll be attacked by strong enemies. Work hard." At the mention of attack, the flaming spirit crow got excited. It rubbed its feathers. Su Hao didn't care what strange hobbies it had awakened. He was relieved with just one look. There were only about 10 days to the final examination. At Whale Island University, apart from a few compulsory classes, the school had almost no requirements for students. They could attend classes, arrange cultivation for sprites, do internal school missions, do external school missions, or leave school to participate in some big and small competitions, or do their own personal affairs. Anything is fine, as long as they passed the final examination. However, passing was only a basic requirement. When they graduated in the future, they would graduate as ordinary students, elite students, or special training camp students. The difference was huge. Not only that, as long as you get an evaluation above passing grade in the final examination, you can get credits. For many ordinary students, this is the easiest opportunity to earn credits. To me. Oh, I don't seem to fancy that. But during the final examination, students will also be evaluated based on battle power. If the evaluation is sufficient, you can apply for a special training camp challenge. That was one of the only 2 opportunities every year. Senior Wu said that not only can you receive credits every month at the special training camp, you can also come into contact with many training facilities that can't be popularized. In short, there are many benefits. The only question is, can I enter at the end of this semester? Can I defeat those seniors at the bottom? Su Hao could only count his battle power on the flaming spirit crow. Then, he turned to look. Including Butterfly. Su Hao's current pockets were very full. He exchanged for many fire element treasures for the flaming spirit crow to absorb. Boom! At a certain training area in the wilderness, a blazing sun descended from the sky, smashing and melting the ground, blasting out a huge pit. The flaming spirit crow enveloped itself in the huge ball of fire and flew forward. With a whoosh! Slash! Huge stone pillars in the distance were cut off. The upper half fell with a boom. White smoke was coming out of the cut area. A moment later, the flames around the flaming spirit crow faded away and it regained its appearance. Su Hao rode closer on the water unicorn beast and nodded slightly. Under the sun form, its destructive power is very strong, but its endurance isn't good. Originally, after training in flaming feather form for a long time, its endurance was already pretty good. But a secret manual evolution decreased the flaming spirit crow's stamina even more. It became a 100-second crow. Under the full explosion, it can last even shorter. Well, the dissipation of power is a little serious. The cultivation of the flaming spirit crow was very simple. Absorbing fire element treasures. Continuously using sun form. As the sun form became familiar to it, its various qualities also improved correspondingly. Time passed. Every sprite cultivated methodically under the plan he made. The electric bear continued to perfect the 2 secret manuals. The water unicorn beast absorbed treasures to stimulate the concentration of its bloodline. Butterfly. By the way, why has the little rascal become so serious recently? Originally, Butterfly's cultivation time was 867. Su Hao gave it a lot of rest from a humane point of view. But recently, what triggered it? Su Hao saw Butterfly's short arms reach out, and the 3 orbs spun continuously in front of them. Around it, special crystal balls also rose and fell continuously. It was training his spirit powers. It was multitasking. Seeing that it was serious, Su Hao didn't disturb it and left the villa quietly. In the blink of an eye, the examination week that every university had arrived. Whale Island University's final examination was generally divided into 3 parts. The written test, ability assessment, and battle assessment. There's only the combat assessment next semester. It's in the New World. Lu Ren suddenly popped up and said, I keep feeling that it's much easier than the college entrance examination. But why is there still a written test? F***ck. It's just a few papers, it's not difficult. Su Hao shrugged. In the past, he was also very annoyed by the written test. But there were no Chinese subjects or high scores for Sprite universities. Apart from one cultivation subject, the other subjects were all related to sprites. He was fearless. And that subject was an open book anyway. Lu Ren suffered a critical hit. Lu Ren left the chat room. The written test lasted for 3 days. Su Hao let the few sprites continue to cultivate, except for the water unicorn beast. As his mount, the water unicorn beast had to be responsible for his daily transport to and from the examination hall. It appeared with a summon. It was more convenient than booking a ride. On the 4th day, as candidates from the same batch, Su Hao, Lu Ren, and Gu Linjiao followed the instructors to the examination area. The assessment will be carried out according to the dormitory area. Songting, that rascal isn't around. What a pity, I still want to arm wrestle him. Su Hao turned to look at Lu Ren and glanced at his arm. You're arm wrestling him. Cough, Lu Ren looked around. He was relieved that he didn't see Li Songting. I'm saying that my sprite can compete with him. I feel that with my lava dragon turtle, I'll definitely be able to achieve pretty good results in the final examination. As they spoke, they arrived at the examination area. The instructors stopped in their tracks. Su Hao recognized the one in the lead. It was Instructor Sun Jiaoang. He spoke, his voice spreading far and wide. The ability assessment is divided into 3 categories: attack assessment, speed assessment, and resistance assessment. The attack assessment tests not only the power of the unique skill, but also the hit rate and attack speed. He waved. In the distance, the ground covered with metal plates slowly opened up on both sides. Bubbles of light flew into the sky. The ball of light was about the size of a basketball. It floated around casually in mid-air. At this moment, Instructor Sun Jiaoang snapped his fingers again. The fire god soldier behind him raised its hand. Red light spread out, covering the ball of light in mid-air with a red coat. It was just that some of the colors were light. Some were dark. Chapter 190, Butterfly's Operation. In mid-air, there were dozens of light balls floating around. Under the envelopment of the fire god soldier's red light, all the transparent balls of light were dyed with a layer of red. It's a common fire element unique skill flame shield. Usually, the flame shield could only be applied to himself, but the fire god soldier could easily attach it to the light ball, adding dozens at once. The strength of a soon-to-be monarch rank could be noticed evidently. Lu Ren, who specialized in fire elements, looked and exclaimed. He then glanced at the flaming spirit crow and asked, "Can your flaming crow use flame shield on others?" In any case, his master tortoise couldn't. When Su Hao heard this, he pondered for a moment. Flaming spirit crow never uses flame shield. Squawk! The flaming spirit crow flapped its wings, indicating that this crow only carried a blade in its life, and not a shield. In the spacious and huge examination hall, strong winds blew at the facilities inside the 2 walls. The dozens of light balls in the air floated rapidly as if they were thrown into a washing machine. Some hit the ceiling more than 10 meters high and bounced back. Instructor Sun Jiaoang pointed at the light balls of different colors, pale red, orange, scarlet red, and said, "The depth of the light ball's color represents that its defense is different. A pale red ball of light can be broken with just the power of an advanced entry level. An orange ball of light needs to be at the initial stage of elite level, a scarlet red ball of light." He said, "There are a total of 50 light balls. You can assign any sprite to go on stage. You have 30 seconds to attack. Now, go on stage in sequence." Beside Instructor Sun, a mentor whom Su Hao didn't recognize swept his gaze over. "Who's Pu's Haiwen?" he urged. "Hurry up, there are still a lot of people behind." A plain and ugly boy went forward. My sprite is this giant cannon lobster." The giant cannon lobster, which was as big as a small sedan, stepped forward with its claws. Its hard claws landed on the metal ground, producing kuong-kuong sounds. It raised its pair of pincers, not in the form of pincers, but like 2 huge hand cannons, and quietly aimed at the ball of light in front of it. "I'm ready," the plain and ugly boy said hurriedly. The nameless instructor picked up the timer and said, 3, 2, 1. Begin. In that instant, on the cannon muzzles of the giant cannon lobster, 1, 2, 3. Countless water bullets the size of basketball appeared. It blasted towards the balls of light in mid-air one after another. Bang! A pale red ball of light was shattered. 2 water bullets missed. Another hit the side of the orange ball of light, but it didn't explode, only making the color of the flame shield dim a little. 30 seconds later. Stop! The instructor who was keeping track of the time scanned the field. 17 entry level, 5 intermediate level, 0 advanced level, attack rating C. The second person went on stage. His sprite was a steel-armored eagle, a first-stage evolved form, but it was also elite level. Its wingspan was even longer than the current flaming spirit crow. It was a flying sprite skilled in close combat. It directly leaped forward, golden light suffused on its wings as it turned back and forth in mid-air. As it slashed down, it seemed to have a higher hit rate, but its efficiency was poor. It kept chasing after the balls of light. The timer instructor took a look. Entry level 10, intermediate level 5, advanced level 0, evaluated D. A, B, C, and D, as well as being disqualified, were the 5 levels of the assessment. D was only considered passable, so it didn't matter whether it was high, mid, or low. The boy lowered his head and left. The candidates came one after another. Sprites that were good at long-range and area of effect attacks had an advantage in the attack assessment. Sprites that were used to close combat and couldn't fly, or were support-type sprites, were undoubtedly at a disadvantage. But the assessment had always been like this. Attack, speed, and resistance were to allow students to develop in all aspects. No sprites that were good at attacking? Didn't they know how to contract and nurture? When faced with extreme environments and enemies, no one cares what you were good at. Next, Lu Ren, shouted the instructor. A huge lava dragon turtle was summoned. It walked forward slowly like an old man. A moment later, flames covered the sky, stirring up light balls until they shattered. 30 seconds later. Rating C. The 2-story tall lava dragon turtle continued to walk back slowly. Then, it was carried out of the examination hall by a certain instructor's sprite. It occupied too much space. Big Face Liu's grades were considered average. Over the course of the semester, the vast majority of students each cultivated an elite-level sprite, and only a few sprites failed to break through. They rarely disqualified. There were only 2 at Lakeview Court where Su Hao was. And the one with the highest rating was only a C+. I'm just a little short of the one with the highest score, Lu Ren said smugly. Being too arrogant was not good for the body. For the sake of his good friend, Su Hao had no choice but to remind him, "It's not my turn yet." Lu Ren. Those who seemed to be favored by the instructors were placed at the back. Lu Ren saw a few who had pretty good battle results, but it wasn't their turn yet. The assessment continued. The floor below opened, and light balls flew out to supplement it. The fire god soldier continued to use its shield. Then, the toolman instructor spoke. Next, Bai Hongzhen. A figure in white stepped out of the crowd. Su Hao looked over. That person also looked over. He found him a little familiar. Oh, it's that sprite trainer with ice 6 tails. But the one following behind Bai Hongzhen was no longer the tiny ice 6 tails, but a sprite more than a meter tall with 9 fluffy white tails fluttering wantonly behind it. Polar 9 tails. Its gaze also swept over. When it saw the reverie butterfly above Su Hao's head that had yet to evolve, it shook its head and walked forward step by step. Gurgle. Butterfly asked, was it being looked down on? The polar 9 tails walked gracefully to the front. A misty white frost gradually rose on its body, and sparkling light flickered at the tips of its 9 long tails. At the instructor's command, the polar 9 tails suddenly dashed forward. Its 9 tails waved, directly raising a frost storm. The power made many candidates involuntarily bring their sprites back, afraid of being affected. A frost storm howled, enveloping a large area of the arena in front. Countless sharp icicles shot out in all directions, and pale red light balls gradually dimmed and shattered. With the help of the frost that filled the sky, the polar 9 tails condensed ice blades around its body. Whoosh, 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 it slashed towards those balls of light with deeper colors. Amidst rumbling sounds, balls of light exploded one after another. A moment later, 20 entry level, 20 intermediate level, and 4 advanced level, evaluated B+. At this moment, on the examination area field where the ice storm gradually dissipated, there were only 6 scarlet red light balls left, sparse. Seeing this scene, the candidates present were in an uproar. Too strong. Although Bai Hongzhen was already an elite-level big boss at the start of school, after a semester, they discovered that not only did the gap not narrow, it even widened. They felt bitter in their hearts. Big Boss is indeed your big boss at the end of the day. They looked at Bai Hongzhen, at that graceful and powerful polar nine tails. Bai Hongzhen also looked back, his eyes staring straight at Su Hao. His lips moved slightly. He was challenging. After Bai Hongzhen, there were only 3 people left. The 2 people in front of Su Hao had respectively achieved B and B grades. The last person. Next, Su Hao. A voice sounded. Not only did the instructors look over, the other candidates also turned their heads almost simultaneously and stared at him. Su Hao had completed what was impossible in the challenge segment of the school term. There wasn't much news about this person in the past semester. They wanted to know whether the legend of a generation had fallen, or whether he was still dazzling. Please choose your sprite. All 4 sprites from Su Hao's family were present. The flaming spirit crow tilted its head and stared at its wings. The water unicorn beast raised its hooves, lowered them, raised them, and lowered them. The electric bear with the tablet prop, and occupying the high throne, and the butterfly on top of Su Hao's head. Who's up? Su Hao looked at Butterfly and Crow. In terms of attack strength, of course the flaming spirit crow was stronger, not just a little stronger. But Butterfly also had its advantages. Gurgle. Butterfly glanced at the flirtatious slut that was Polar Nine Tails. It called. It took the initiative to ask to go on stage. Su Hao expressed that he had no objections. It was just an attack assessment. There was no need to use the flaming spirit crow's sun form. The dazed crow that wanted to go out to battle made a squawk sound, but didn't dare to have any objections. It's actually that Reverie Butterfly, not the flaming spirit crow. Bai Hongzhen took in this scene and shook his head slightly. In the past, Reverie Butterfly was Su Hao's trump card. But Reverie Butterfly was a completely new evolution type. It lacked a follow-up pathway, and its future was very uncertain. Not to mention a sprite skilled in illusion. He felt that Su Hao's choice was very unwise. Butterfly flapped its wings and flew forward, the 3 orbs spinning around its body. "Are you ready?" asked the instructor. Gurgle. The instructor's gaze was still on Su Hao. Gurgle, it called again. "Oh, I'm ready," Su Hao translated. Then 3, 2, 1. Begin. As soon as she finished speaking, Butterfly's big eyes glowed. In that instant, the light balls that were blown about by the strong wind in mid-air froze. It threw out the energy ball. 5 shots per second. Boom. 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 5 to 6 light balls were shattered, but the shockwave produced by the explosion also made the other light balls shake continuously. Butterfly looked and felt that it wasn't too good. The highest level scarlet red light ball had very high defense. The energy ball needed to accumulate power to break through. There was no time. It changed its tactics. Under the meticulous control of psychic power, all the remaining light balls seemed to be held by large hands, neatly lined up. The color changed from light to dark. "Its control ability is pretty good," commented instructor Sun Jiaoang. Psychic power was not a unique skill, but a type of ability produced by the combination of spiritual force and spirit power released by sprites. But it was difficult to control. The second was pure psychic power, which was very weak. That was why experts developed Psychic Shield and Psychic Shock, these 2 basic unique skills of the psychic element. It wasn't that there weren't any psychic sprites among the students at Lakeview Court, but their sprites couldn't do it. They couldn't arrange it so neatly. And Reverie Butterfly clearly doesn't have any psychic attributes, right? Its psychic power can actually withstand the shock wave of the explosion. Someone saw it. One of the balls of light was near the explosion point of the energy ball. The orange halo on it had faded a lot, but that ball of light only shook a little before it was fixed again. It didn't make sense. It wasn't a sprite either. But even if it's lined up in a straight line, its attack power must be high enough, and Reverie Butterfly At this moment, after the ball of light was arranged into a straight line, but Butterfly still didn't throw out the energy ball. It stretched its hands forward, and the 3 orbs flew in front of it, arranged in a triangle. Emerald green halos spread out from the 3 orbs, and green threads connected the orbs together, forming a triangular frame. Then, the triangular frame rotated clockwise, slowly, faster and faster. At the same time, the triangular frame faced the side of the examination area, and countless green light dots converged. Unique skill, Wood Spirit Shockwave. Advanced Wood Element Unique skill. After accumulating power for 2 to 3 seconds, a solid emerald green light beam blasted out from the triangular rack in front of Butterfly. It was dazzling. It bombarded the row of light balls. Boom! The bright green light beam directly blasted through the light balls. Circles of smoke clouds exploded, and the aftershock spread. The Wood Spirit Shockwave broke through all the pale red, orange light balls and 2 scarlet red light balls before it exhausted its power and dissipated. At this moment, the aftershock that spread out stirred up a storm. Butterfly's psychic power couldn't be maintained anymore, and the remaining light balls scattered everywhere. It wasn't in a hurry. It waited for another 2 to 3 seconds. After the aftershock weakened slightly, it controlled the remaining light balls with its psychic power and continued to line them up. Wood Spirit Shockwave. They lined up. Wood Spirit Shockwave. 3 times in a row, all the light balls were blasted into nothingness. Bai Hongzhen and the others were stunned. There's such a move. But thinking about it carefully, even if they saw it, could they replicate it? No. Especially those 3 orbs, unique skills? Profound meanings? Or what? They didn't know at all. Giant Su still got it, Giant Su. Only Polar Ninetails made a few O sounds, a little unconvinced. Bai Hongzhen took a look. All right, after the final exam is over, I'll bring you to challenge Su Hao. 20 entry level, 20 intermediate level and 10 advanced level, evaluated A. The instructor said. Butterfly was a little angry when it heard that it wasn't A+, but when it saw the angry look in the eyes of that Polar Ninetails, it was happy. The joy of Sprites came so simply, and not dull. The second assessment tested speed and dodging ability. Su Hao and the other students followed their instructors to another venue. As far as the eye could see, a transparent and winding snake-shaped passage appeared in front. This snake passage is 200 meters long. Not only is gravity set up inside, there are also restrictions on various extreme, poor weather conditions. As Instructor Sun spoke, that passage was opened. Buzzing sounds rang. Flames spread in some places, ice and snow mixed in others, and wind was blowing so hard like they were blades. There was also an invisible gravity influence. Let your sprite break through the snake passage, and the score will be based on the time taken. In addition, marks will be deducted according to their degree of injury. Su Hao and the other students weren't unfamiliar with snake passage. It was one of the commonly seen training facilities at Whale Island University. However, whether it was difficult or not depended on which level of difficulty the instructor had set. Especially, the trump cards of many people were weak in terms of speed. It was not easy to take on the battle. It was completely different from the previous assessment. They weren't confident. Lu Ren was one of them. His lava dragon turtle couldn't even enter the snake passage's entrance. This is discrimination against large-sized sprites. I refuse to accept this. So, what are you going to do? Let the giant tide frog go. No, I want to let Flaming Bat take it on. Lu Ren was referring to his third sprite. It had also been cultivated to advanced entry level and was approaching its limit. Although my giant tide frog is elite level, it's still not nimble enough in the snake passage. Why don't I use the Flaming Bat to try? At most, it will just be disqualified. In any case, the final tabulation is the total score. It wouldn't be a big problem if it doesn't qualify for one assessment. No way. He still sounded a little weak. Then, he asked, Old Su, which one are you going to let take this segment on? Yet, which one should I? Su Hao touched his chin and looked at the sprites in front of him. Butterfly, Flaming Spirit Crow, and Water Unicorn Beast were all sprites that were good at speed and extremely agile. Even if it was the electric bear, its speed wasn't slow when it leaped with the meat-bouncing thunder ball. It was just too weak. Howl! The electric bear, which was hugging the tablet, kept feeling that someone was calling it. It looked up and then lowered its head again, continuing to stare at the tablet. Su Hao sighed when he saw it. This bear was hopeless. He could get Butterfly to supervise the other sprites, but the electric bear. Su Hao kept feeling that if the two sprites got together, they would gang up on him. So, which one are you sending? Yet, which one is better? Sometimes, having too many options is also a problem. Su Hao looked up at the sky, the ceiling. He sighed. Making a choice was really difficult.